and they'll especially say off air. On air, they say it's suspicious. Off air, they say, no way, the way this virus is set up with pig, human, and bird, this thing is designer.
Yeah, I can visualize in my mind that they had a lab truck spraying it around Mexico City or the favelas around it, the slums, where you have sickened and weak populations. But the fact is that now the bird populations in all continents now have these lethal genes. It's going to bridge from birds, say, to cattle, humans, pigs, God knows what. And this is the first of many waves. In the steamship age, it took months for the next wave to happen. My grandmother lost a brother and a sister, and the little sister died due to the swine flu in 1918. The brother was so upset by his sister, he went to hug her in her coffin, and the next week they buried him. So I have a personal reason. The primary reason why I got into radio to get the truth out, besides civil defense for issues like nuclear war, etc., the primary number one reason with these documents I was given 12 years ago to warn people, when they keep telling you there's going to be an avian flu pandemic, and a lot of doctors didn't believe it, I had the inside documents, I had the genetics, I had the background of infectious disease. They were doing everything they can to create it. It wouldn't happen spontaneously. They now have released the bridging virus, which is this new super hybrid, and future waves, if this is not the big one, are going to come, and they're going to come quickly.
Now, normally they say a virus peaks in about 90 days, but I mean, they all vary.
Yeah, it all depends on the genetics. You see, this is going to recombine. It's this strain. The one in America seems to be relatively mild. We don't have anybody dead, but in Mexico City, and as it changes and recombines, it can recombine very quickly.
But how do we know that it's not the same virus? It's just that they're...
We don't know because they won't release the data. They never release the data.
Well, they are acting very secretive, and I've had call after call on and off air from Mexico where they say 70% of the people they know are sick. You go to the hospital, people are vomiting everywhere, blood coming out their noses. And this is similar to what we saw in 1918.
Right. It causes a hemorrhagic diathesis. It causes a cytokine storm. And if it's bad enough, the stronger your immune system, more deadly it is. So that's why people need to pay attention. It's not just how bad this is now. It's that the virus is then going to get into other animals, dogs, cats, birds, and as it recombines there, because it has the receptor binding domain to get back to humans, we now have a returning vector system where it can get into cattle. It can get into people's pets. We already have a pandemic where birds all over the world, I have reports from game wardens in British Columbia, from Washington State, from Oregon.
Pigs are dying all over the United States.
Exactly.
That's in the mainstream news.
Right, so now we have the proof that there is a pandemic in birds. There's now a pandemic in pigs. And the likelihood is that when this recombines in future waves, and they've done this because their plan is, and they were told me this in these documents, these physicians gave me these documents, said this is to reduce the world population by at least 2 billion. Okay? They are doing everything. They're behind schedule. All of the public documents.
And they use their staged terror attacks of 9/11 to put the control grid in to tell you it's for brown-skinned guys in caves. And then now they admit, this Homeland Security is for you, the gun owners. You're the number one threat in veterans. So they need us to be straitjacketed and to be listed as the enemies. So when they move with the mass plague, we stand down.
Exactly, and their whole idea is the statement by Kissinger just a few weeks ago was that the American public will be disarmed by September because they plan on waves between now and September that'll be sufficient. That'll be basically will protect you if you'll pass in your guns and come to our civil detention camps. And right now the strain is supposedly sensitive to oseltamivir or Tamiflu, which of course Mr. Satan himself has shares in it. Rumsfeld, but the fact is this is going to require resistance extremely fast within days. So it's useless. Vaccines will be useless. This will continue to mutate and change. The only thing is self-quarantine at home, and of course a whole series of nutraceuticals, and they can check with me on that, but there are things that will block it. The government could have installed a system called Aeroclave, which was developed with Homeland Security, but they haven't done it to actually clear all aircraft. They could have had a biohazard Center for Disease Control.
Do mask help? Because we confirm.
Yes, you need a nanomask. You need a nanoparticle mask. Regular droplet masks that the doctors and nurses have won't do anything. That's why it didn't stop the coronavirus or SARS. This is going to be a really big mess because the doctors are not trained how to do infectious control properly, and they will have casualties.
But even a regular mask reduces some. I mean, it'll block a larger...
A little bit. I would not...
Because the virus will be within a...
Yeah, exactly. It's going to block some, but you want to have...
All right. Thank you, Dr. Deagle. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Remember this folder from a few weeks ago? Mass graves. We'll talk about this with Steve Quayle coming up in the next hour. You know, you're not going to hear a full spectrum analysis from every angle, every view. And they're really getting a truly diverse analysis. You're going to hear that on mainstream news. They're just dumbing it down, trying to fearmonger, tell you a bunch of Tamiflu is going to save you, when all it does is accelerate the mutations of the virus to a more deadly strain. So I would ask everybody to keep spreading the word. If you're listening to us on AM and FM right now, tell people at red lights, hey, tune into this station. Or on the internet, tell your friends and family, tune in on the free streams at Infowars.com. If you want to hear any of what we've just covered in the last 2 hours, 55 minutes, the whole 4-hour show will be posted a little bit after the show today at Infowars.com. You click on the listen button, takes you to the listen page. There's the free podcast. Just copy that little bit of code, that link into your MP3, iPod device, whatever. Folks are putting these all over the web, posting them everywhere. We appreciate that on the BitTorrents, because we're really, not fear-mongering 1/10 of the mainstream media. I mean, this is scary. By the very nature of reporting it, it conjures up scary fears, because the flu's killed hundreds of millions of people in the last century, 40 million of those just in 1 year in 1918. And we know the globalists are a bunch of eugenicists and are very, very dangerous, have a history of this, so we got to watch them. We know they've been gearing up for martial law and global takeover and to bring in a North American Union out of a flu or smallpox outbreak. So there's a lot going on here. But we're trying to get people to be calm and to not bind all the hype. It looks like this is all just hype. But if it does mutate into something, Katie barred the door. Let's go to calls over here on this phone system. Oh, wait, you pulled up the manufacturing process of aspartame there. See, it says the fermentation process. It's a nice way of putting it. With the E. coli, and then they feed them the toxic waste, literally, they feed them chemicals. And then the E. coli, genetically engineered E. coli, to be able to eat the chemicals, they then put out what you think is so sweet and delicious. Absolutely incredible. They call it the seed tank, provides an ideal environment for growing more bacteria. It is filled with things bacteria need to thrive, including warm water, carbohydrate foods, and it goes on and on and on. You tell people that and they just don't believe it. If you're watching on PrisonPlanet.tv, you can see it. Let's go to Nicolette in Ohio. Nicolette, thank you for holding.
I had a couple of questions. The first one, have you heard about what's going on up here in Ohio in the little FEMA exercise with First Energy on the 29th?
There's a lot of FEMA takeover drills. Just turn your radio off for me, please. Echo.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Ma'am, you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead and tell me about the particular drill.
Okay, this particular drill starts on Wednesday up here, and it's through First Energy. They have 4.5 million customers here in Ohio, and they've suggested that their employees go to this training drill, and it's on the JimmyOnTheSpot.com. He was actually on your Prison Planet forum. It's just this large article about what's going to be happening up here.
Yeah, I actually have a FEMA drill document with nationwide drive-through injectors. And Walmart's doing drills where you drive through and they, and you go, thank you. Tell you what, stay there. Can you hold some more, Nicolette?
Sure.
Because I'm going to bring Steve Quayle up, but we'll take calls while Steve is on with us. From Nicolette, Sherry, Dave, Carter, George. You've been holding this long. Why not stay? Nathan, Leo, Bill, Dominic, JD. I got 2 different phone systems here, and we'll see if I can get to these calls. All right, we continue to go onward through the fog. Steve Quayle, straight ahead. Stay with us.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
We interrupt this program with a special bulletin. America is now under martial law. All constitutional rights have been suspended. Stay in your home. Do not attempt to contact loved ones anyone's insurance agent or attorney. Shut up. Do not attempt to think or depression may occur. Stay in your home. Curfew is at 7 p.m. sharp after work. Anyone caught outside the gates of their subdivision sectors after curfew will be shot. Remain calm. Do not panic. Your neighborhood watch officer will be by to collect urine samples in the morning. Anyone caught interfering with the collection of urine samples